Hi, my name is Joshua Huber. Today I'll be going over the Accolades IT Consulting Report, Introduction and Technical Findings. Accolades IT is a web and app development company that focuses on beautiful web presence as well as offering ultimate user experience for its customers. Now a little bit about the business. It was founded in 2011 by my father, Scott Huber, down here in Lafayette, Louisiana, funny enough, in our home, Dusant, and Dusant in our garage. We currently have multiple different clients across Louisiana, as well as having customers as far east as Florida, Texas, Massachusetts even, California, and even Kansas. Our Chief Operating Officer, Carlos Lerma, has been writing insightful articles as far back as 2006 for our website. Our main goal is to be able to support local businesses as well as businesses above and beyond with great web development and app development as well that represents their brand and their business through great technical and innovative coding. We help to build websites, tools, and applications that offer beautiful web presence and ultimate user experience. Our largest client is the Advanced Practice Education Associates, APEA, which helps doctors, nurses, and students not only get their degrees, but also maintain secondary and further education in their studies. We currently have 6 staff members, as well as here in the States, but as well as 3 staff members who work overseas. The scope of our report mainly details the SWOT of the business, which represents the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and threats. We also identify key findings with respect to the technical infrastructure, the policies and procedures, the compliance, as well as the security and risk management involved with the company. We also hope to provide recommendations and countermeasures to these findings as they are available both in the present and for future times. Let me reiterate, we not only understand the implications of the present moment, but also that of the future. We want to be able to not only afford fixes that help now, but also that might help future in not only making more money, but able to maintain customer relations. A couple of the technical findings that we are able to find with the business includes these 4 main sections: a lack of additional servers and workstations, a lack of additional drives and computer hardware, wiring of Ethernet cables to all devices, and an analysis of server centralization. While there are multiple devices in use for the development, as much as 15, all of these serve some sort of primary use in the business. We currently recommend that Accolades procure more devices that are to be used in case of emergency or circumstances that might need them, such as onboarding new individuals and other situations. On top of this, the business, while having multiple SSDs, solid state drives, which are available for the workstations, they are not able to be used with the local RAID 5 system due to the small amount of storage located on those drives. The wiring of Ethernet cables to all devices refers to the future implementation of doing so. In this current time, the business does have most, if not all, of the devices hooked up via Ethernet, except for the laptops. However, when we refer to wiring of the Ethernet cables, we were thinking long-term in terms of whenever the business decides to large scale its operations into perhaps a different area of the building, multiple different rooms, where additional networking devices such as switches, routers, and additional Ethernet cables may be required. On top of this, we've also found that as the company begins to grow, more security-oriented clients may want more control over the data instead of outsourcing the hosting to third-party providers. Therefore, we recommend Accolades to start setting up a server farm that solely is meant for customers who may require more jurisdictional compliance for their data. As I previously said, some of these different findings more relate to the present point in time, while others may be accomplished now, but may need to be fixed in the future, such as the Ethernet cables.
So for the technical recommendations, we decided that network infrastructure would need an upgrade to enterprise-grade switches for improved scalability and performance. We also thought that implementing a demilitarized zone for additional security. Lastly, we think that they should conduct a cost-benefit analysis for the server management. We thought that they should transition to a dedicated server for cooling and dehumidifier system to prevent hardware degradation. For device and access control, we thought that they should implement enterprise mobility management software for personal device security, and also introduce encryption policies. This would eliminate clear text storage of sensitive information. For the future considerations, we thought that they should assess the feasibility of in-house server farms. This would allow for better configurability and cost effectiveness. We also thought that regular audits would help to ensure that the policies were being upheld in practice.
Hello, I'm Zetevion Leblanc. Today I'll be presenting the key findings and recommendations for the policies and practices. I will start with the network management, and we identified that while internal network diagrams are not maintained on site, diagrams are still created for customers upon request. Network changes are still documented and shared with administrators and management once completed. Moving to the employee handbook, and that was also written in-house and is still updated regularly. All employees are required to sign an affidavit confirming they've read it and understood what they've read. When we move to the data management, it was ensured that critical data is still backed up using scripts in AWS. SSL encryption is applied when necessary, and backups are regularly tested for reliability via GitHub. For cybersecurity practices, we found that Windows devices have antivirus software, while Linux devices currently do not. Regarding ethics policy, there isn't a formal policy due to the company's small size. In terms of the customer's documentation, the company maintains customer networks and related documentation efficiently. Finally, internal network design is done in-house and is reflecting a tailored approach to their own operations. Policy and recommendations. Based on these findings, here are our recommendations. For network management, we suggest developing and maintaining an internal network diagram. This will streamline operations and ensure a regular update schedule for accuracy. In the employee handbook, we recommend adding a section on cybersecurity's best practices to align employee behavior with security goals. Additionally, periodic refreshing training should be required to maintain compliance. For data management, we propose expanding encryption to cover all critical data for enhanced security. Automated alerts should be implemented to address backup failures promptly. Under the cybersecurity practices, introducing antivirus software for Linux devices will close potential security gaps. Regular vulnerability assessment should also be conducted across all devices and systems to ensure robust protection. Lastly, here are additional recommendations. For the ethics policy, we suggest creating a simple ethics policy even for a small company. This would set a standard for workplace conduct. Basic ethics training should also be provided to reinforce expectations among employees. Regarding customer documentation, establishing a formal process for reviewing and updating documentation will ensure consistency and quality. Finally, For internal communication, we recommend implementing a centralized system for documentation and sharing policy updates with all employees. By adopting these recommendations, we can enhance clarity, security, and accountability.
Hello, my name is Maci Broussard, and today we'll be talking about the key security findings that we found for Accolades IT Consulting Company. Accolades IT Consulting Company is a smaller company, however, it is a very proactive company in the purpose that they understand the importance of securing its network and data as well as its sensitive information of their clients. In this part of the video, we will take a closer look at the security framework Accolades IT Consulting Company has in place, how they manage their employee security practices, and their procedures for responding to the company. The company does maintain a network firewall. Their router acts as a firewall itself. It's important for the company to have an effective firewall because a network firewall is critical for making sure that company network remains secure. From cyber threats, compliant with, and also to stay compliant in regulations and stay free from malicious activities, obviously hackers, people stealing passwords, personal information, and whenever you're a corporation working for companies, it is important that you protect their assets as well as their sensitive information. A firewall is the first line of defense against malware, cyber attacks, and it also plays a huge role in the organization's overall security posture. With that being said, the ports of the company typically close our port 8080. It is open to VPN and connection. They do not block any websites. They pretty much operate on a trust system. They are family owned and fairly little to no turnover. There is a certain level of trust that the CEO does have with his employees, that he does expect that they are not obviously searching up crazy things on the web, on the internet, and putting the company at risk, essentially. While interviewing the CEO, we also talked about employee insurance and employee regulation. So we'll touch on employee insurance. First of all, they do not have any employee insurance other than workers' compensation. This is important, obviously, just in case their employees hurt themselves on the job, freak accidents, stuff like that. As far as a terminated employee, the CEO or the senior developer will log in and access the network and log this employee out of their network, their software, and other things to make sure that they are not having access to stuff they shouldn't have access to at this point because they are terminated. Employees are required to go through a cybersecurity training on a yearly basis, dependent on government contracts. So in order to maintain their government contracts, they must do that cybersecurity training to make sure that they are being proactive in securing their network and making sure that they are not allowing for any sensitivities in the system and any loopholes for hackers or other people to attack the system. Accolades IT Consulting Company does not currently maintain a current disaster recovery policy in the event of natural disaster, fire, hurricane. It's a case-by-case scenario. The client can request themselves to have a backup of their product. They do use RAID. It is mirrored for databases that are on the network. We also asked the company if they were satisfied with this threat exposure and has been reduced to a tolerable degree. They are satisfied with their servers and their databases are warranted. In summary, Accolades IT Consulting Company it's a fairly small company, but they do operate by a case-by-case scenario and what they need and staying efficient. And it is a family-owned company. They operate on trust. Most things like website blocking, a system of segregated duties, all that is a case-by-case scenario with them, being that they are a fairly smaller company with about 5 to 10 employees. Some security recommendations that we have to off-put that is creating a formal disaster recovery plan and testing it regularly. This is important because we do live in Louisiana. Hurricanes are obviously going to happen. Fires, freak accidents. Is important that that the company is able to protect their assets, essentially. I do believe also that it will be beneficial to the company to provide additional cybersecurity training to all employees and focus on topics like phishing. It also would be beneficial for the company to have a system of password management so they can protect their company's assets. I would also think that it's also important for the company to, while they are operating on a solid security framework, including firewalls, training, RAID, the company needs to have more employee regulations in place, just to make sure that people are double checking each other's work, which it seems after interviewing the CEO, they do have those. The CEO will double check the senior developer and so on and so forth. This is important because we are human. Computers obviously move at a faster pace than this AI and things like that. However, there is room for human error, and double checking each other and having a system of segregation of duties will help eliminate a lot of the issues. If code is getting passed over and code may be missing here, it helps to have a second look. I also think one of the most important things is security breach training and cybersecurity training. This is important because hackers are getting smarter, people are getting smarter, computers are getting smarter. It is very easy to give into sensitivity in your system and allow for loopholes for people to basically hack you and steal personal information that may belong to the company, but also may belong to the companies that is outsourcing them and using them for their IT consulting. And that is it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jules Labatut, and I will be covering the key compliance findings for Accolade's IT Consulting. Before we begin, it's important to consider that Accolades is a smaller IT consulting group with a total staff of less than 10 individuals at a given time throughout the year. So before I provide these recommendations, it's important to understand that these implementations may not be necessary for them at this particular moment, but very much could be in the event that capacity increases by 25 to 50% within the next 5 to 10 years. Key to the findings that were discovered were that Accolade's IT does not currently house an internal HR department. This creates a series of risks with respect to employment, compliance, SHRM, relevant employment laws, SHRM compliance, and necessary best practices with respect to due care of employee benefits. It has also been discovered, as of the date of this report, that employees are not required to sign legal attestation proving that they have read their employee handbook. This creates risk in the event that an employee files a wrongful termination lawsuit, and Accolade's IT does not have legal documentation that the employee is aware of correct policies and procedures. Also, Accolade's IT does not currently retain professional legal counsel. They may find themselves in unexpected legal situations that require counsel, and the necessary time that it would take for them to find counsel, then to begin with said counsel, they may find themselves already behind. Also, it is important to recognize that the company does not require yearly cybersecurity trainings. Now, it's important to understand that Accolade's IT does not maintain yearly governmental contracts that require the relevant cybersecurity trainings that these typical government contracts would require. They expect their employees to complete these trainings as an ad-need basis whenever they do acquire these contracts. Now, before we begin speaking on the recommendations, it's important to understand that these implementations may not necessarily need to be implemented immediately, but are considerations that Accolade's IT should make for the next 5 to 10 years, or potentially in the event that they increase capacity by 15 to 30% within the next 5 to 10 years. So, thank you.
Good afternoon. I will be covering slides 15 and 16. As you know, we had the pleasure to interview Accolade's IT Consulting. So, starting with compliance recommendations, we first just want to ensure our company stays on track with laws and workplace standards. We recommend setting up an HR department This could either be internal. For an internal team, the cost would start with $50,000 a year. And while outsourcing may be cheaper, between $5,000 and $10,000 annually, it'll take about 3 to 6 months to set this up. While it'll also require some initial adjustments, it'll make things smoother in the long run. And next, we need to prioritize training and workplace policies. Ethics training is obviously essential so that employees understand security and ethical behavior. This will cost around $50 to $200 per person, and it can be done in every single day of the year. We need to do a solid sexual harassment policy with proper training for staff. Setting that up would probably cost about $1,000 to $3,000 and take 2 to 3 months to complete. So for just the broad aspect of everything, technical, security, and compliance recommendations for slide 16, our next steps forward. So looking ahead, we have obviously a few technical and security recommendations. For technology, we said that we suggest getting more computers as backups for emergencies. Each device would cost between $250 and $850, and have them ready in 2 to 4 weeks. Additionally, switching to wired internet or Ethernet will improve our connection speed. This will cost $500 to $1,000 and may involve a short downtime while being set up. For security, we recommend installing a firewall or DMZ to create a secure network zone. That'll cost $1,500 to $5,000 and take 2 to 4 weeks to install with no interruptions. That's our goal. We also need to cool the server room to prevent overheating. Setting up proper cooling and humidity control probably will cost about $1,000 and $3,000 and take about 2 to 3 weeks to implement. We believe that these steps will strengthen our workplace, improve our efficiency, and keep everyone safe. That's our biggest goal. And thank you for your attention. Have a great day.
Alright, now that concludes our presentation. I'd like to thank everyone involved in the making of this video and this overall project. I'd like to thank Dr. Zataro for his time and consideration during the course of the semester. I also would like to thank Accolades IT Solutions for opening themselves up to us. And I especially would like to thank all my classmates and wish them a wonderful conclusion to this semester.